Welcome back. Up next is a debate about same-sex marriage. Enjoy.
Can you believe the liberals want homosexuals to get married? We are losing our way as a Christian country.
No, as I said before, this is not a Christian country. This is not a theocracy. It is a constitutional republic. That means everybody has rights.
No, marriage is between a man and a woman. It says so in the Bible.
The Bible is not a governing document of this country. The U.S. Constitution is, in Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution declares that no state shall, among other things, pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts.
What does that have to do with marriage?
Marriage is a contract.
No, marriage is a holy union between a man and a woman who love each other and want to have children.
So, are you saying people don't need to take vows in front of witnesses to get married?
No, I'm not. The vows, witnessed by a preacher, are what create the union.
So, how exactly are the vows not a contract?
Because they are wedding vows.
How do you define contract?
Simple, a contract is a legally binding agreement in which two or more parties agree to undertake certain obligations to each other.
Is marriage legally binding?
Yes, but it's not a contract.
Is marriage an agreement?
Yes, but it's not a contract.
Is marriage between at least two people?
Yes, but it's not a contract.
Do spouses agree to certain obligations to each other?
Yes, but it's not a contract.
How is it not a contract?
Because it's a marriage.
Clearly you don't understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. You libertarians want to change a definition of marriage that goes back thousands of years.
So, you really want to advocate for traditional marriage, huh?
Yes, traditional marriage is between a man and a woman.
Traditional marriage is between people of the same religion. Do you oppose mixed religion marriages?
No, if somebody wants eternal damnation for not being a Christian, then their spouse should have the opportunity to offer them salvation.
Traditional marriage is between people of the same race. Do you oppose interracial marriage?
No, I'm not a racist. We can allow an exception for them too.
Traditionally, a marriage was arranged between a man and a woman's father. The woman had no say in the matter. Do you oppose women's right to decide who they marry?
No, women should have the right to decide who they marry.
Well, then, you don't really support traditional marriage, do you?
Yes, I support traditional marriage.
But you just said you supported exceptions for people of different religions and races.
Yeah, so?
And you support women's right to decide who to marry.
Yeah, so?
So, those violate traditional marriage. Prior to the mid-20th century, interracial marriage was illegal in a large part of the U.S.
No, I'm not a racist.
I know you are not. Until a few decades ago, it was frowned upon for people of different religions to get married.
So what?
In the early 20th century, it was unheard of for a person of Irish heritage to marry a person of Italian heritage. Both nationalities are white and both nationalities are traditionally Catholic.
What does that have to do with homosexuals getting married?
It is to do with the fact that marriage has already been redefined.
No, it has not been redefined. Marriage is between a man and a woman.
What about the 14th Amendment? What about equal protection?
No, traditional marriage doesn't discriminate. Homosexual men can still marry women and homosexual women can still marry men. They can still be attracted to people of the same sex. They just can't marry people of the same sex.
That has to be one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. What have you been smoking?
Stogies. I like smoking stogies.
Debating you is like debating a dining room table. Consenting adults have the right to get married. Period.
Yes, consenting adults have the right to get married, but only to people of the opposite sex. If homosexuals want to get married, they have to settle for somebody of the opposite sex.
You must have been smoking something much better than stogies to make such an illogical, harebrained statement.
No, my argument is not harebrained. Marriage is for the purpose of being fruitful and having children.
What about infertile couples? Are they defying your definition of marriage because they cannot have children?
Not as long as they are a man and a woman.
You just said marriage is for having children. So how do you rationalize that statement with infertile couples being okay to get married?
Because a man and a woman can have children. Two men cannot. Two women cannot.
Not if they're infertile. They cannot.
But they are still a man and a woman.
So what?
So marriage is between a man and a woman.
If you missed last week's episode, don't worry. Both episodes will eventually be posted on YouTube. When they are, you can find the link right here at the show's website, Freedom Rocs, ROCS.cybermansoftware.com. Until next week, good evening.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Freedom Rocs. These debates are parodies, and not meant to be taken seriously. Of course, while based in some part on actual conservative arguments, they have been greatly exaggerated for comedic effect. If you have been offended by them, then, as always, you have the absolute, unquestionable, undeniable, untaxable, unalienable, and constitutionally guaranteed right to yourself.